what happened in your dating experience to where you're now like,
It's a lot of pressure on black men, specifically dating black women. And I love black women. Social media and the culture has put a lot of pressure on us. This could be just based on environment.
Listen, do the men come to your channel and talk like this? I mean, do they really feel pressure about dating, behind dating like this?
Well, some of the men I counsel, they do feel the pressure. Some of the men do come to the channel and stressed out. A lot of them are tapped out. A lot of them are in that, safe mode. They going for theirs. They just feel that what they're looking for is not out there. So, I'm just going to continue doing me and just do what I do. I think what you said, and I know what you said was 100%. The onus is on us as men, and I'm called a simp when I do this,
We ain't having no simping tonight. I'm finna call you out.
They call me these things because, again, we're doing, as air quotes, we're doing the hunting, we're doing the pursuing.
Right.
So what you pursue outwardly is what you are internally. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of us, and when I say us, meaning men, we search for shortcuts. And the shortcuts, when you take shortcuts, there's a lot of things that you leave on the table that you just don't gain clarity and understanding to. And then when you're actually married, these are the things that you're going back to that you should have had an eye on, and you should have saw the red flags on because you took the shortcut, right? You're throwing your wallet around and her eyes open and she latches onto you, not because of who you are, but what you can produce. What's so important, you and I spoke about this earlier, the most important thing in any relationship is the relationship with God. That says a lot.
Yeah.
It says a lot because that relationship that you have with God transcends every relationship that you're going to be in because you know that he's first, right? So a lot of the times us as men, and I'll throw women in there too, God knows what we need. And this is what he puts in our way. But because of the ego of man, and I'll talk on man's perspective, because of the ego of man, because we want that banging chick, we go for what we want. So we don't take what God gives us that we need. We go for what our flesh want, the sinful nature, the carnal nature. And then when things fall apart, the first person we blame is her. We don't look in the mirror. You know what I'm saying?
Let me add something right there too, Bolo, because when you're speaking, it made me think of something. There was this couple on this show called Ready to Love. I can't remember their names, but I remember he was a luxury car salesman. When he was on the show, he was introduced himself as a high earner, and he was a luxury car salesperson. And she, oh my goodness, I can't remember, but I think she might have been a teacher of a sort. I can't remember what her profession was. But anyway, after the show was over, they actually got together and were going to get married. And, so that's when things started really happening. That's where the vetting started coming. They started telling the real representatives went away and the real person started showing up. So listen, as they were going into this, things started happening and he started having to reveal certain things about himself that, your wife needs to know, but your girlfriend doesn't have to know, because he led with money too, because he was a luxury car salesman. So he was finagling so much money here and there to the point that he was basically broke. And y'all might know who they are. I can't tell y'all their names. Rashad, there you go. Rashad and Simone. They actually came on Dear Future Wifey's show, and he felt the need to confess because they were getting ready to get married, and they set the date. And she said, you know what, Rashad, you got to have this much money on this day. So he said, I'm going to sell this Ferrari to get this money for this. He was just that's how he was living his life as a single man. But, now you're married, you got to be more stable than that. So they come, I think it ended up being like a month or so before the wedding, and she said, well, we're going to have this much money on this particular date. He had nothing. He had nothing. So they came on Dear Future Wifey. I don't know if you ever watched that. And it was like a confession time. And he came and he apologized and said that he was so out of line because he forgot about God. He totally forgot. He just was working and doing his thing and shuffling. And it was okay to be that way as a single man. He was going to get some money. He was going to hustle. But, you can't hustle being a married man. I mean, some people think they can, but women need stability and security. So he came out with all of that, and they did not get married. She said she still loved him, but I think she might have been a lawyer, come to think of it. But they did. She said she still loved him, and they were going to work things out. But she really appreciated him so much after he showed her who he was, without the money. But she did not marry him because I think, that changed her whole idea of what is my life going to be like? Because you painted a picture that we're going to be this way and that way. Now I know that you might get there, but you're not going to be that way going in the door. So what is the expectation for me? And she called off the wedding. But that sounds like what you're saying, because if a man meets someone and he's leading with money, and it's not really who he is, it's going to be a time where it's going to run out or it's going to become overwhelming. And then what do you have? What is this woman going to do? And that's probably why we have these marriages now that are steadily declining or don't last no longer than 3 to 5 years.
Well, every time you and I talk and Mr. Boss talk, I write down everything. So I got a little list of things.
Yeah, for real. Oh, Lord.
If first of all, speaking on that gentleman, I've never seen it, but
it was good.
If you forget about God, this is the thing, when you're talking, and then, I always talk with my eyes closed because, I visualize things. So if you're speaking, if you're working and you forget God in your life, that tells me a lot about who you are and what you are and how selfish you are, because you're dealing with the Father that can be anywhere, any place, anytime. You have access to him at any time. You can be riding a bike, talk to him. You could be at work, talk to him.
Absolutely.
You don't have to, it's good to set out time. But if you have that much of a crazy day, you could talk to him while you're working. And then it goes to show you that because he didn't have that relationship with him, she didn't have that relationship with him. Because he didn't have that relationship with God, she didn't have that relationship with him. So soon as she saw who he was, right? And this is number one on my list, how you start, that expectation has to be maintained.